Down.
Yeah, like if you're going down that that road that looks like you're going over a cliff almost.
Yeah.
Well, that takes you into Belmont.
Speaking of Belmont, good morning, Penelope Spencer.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Penny.
Penny, you make me happy already. You know why you make me happy?
Thank you.
You have red curtains in the back of you.
Yes, red and black. And
she has on a red top too.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're missing the entire point. She's having coffee.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't had mine as yet. I do mine at 7.
Hi, guys.
I do mine at 7 too.
Yeah.
And everyone else. You change your battery, Penny?
Yes.
Okay.
What battery? You can't make a statement like that and expect it to go unnoticed.
It's a private conversation, not for air. Good morning, Penelope Spencer.
Good morning.
Multiple Kasika Award, Academy Award winning actress.
I love it.
Yeah, one of the.
How are you, darling? Happy New Year.
I am good. I am great. God is good.
God is good all the time.
Yep.
So we're here. So you're starting the theater production.
Yes. It's just up. Is it on Ash Wednesday, Penny? Or
Ash Wednesday we begin to sell tickets. It's on Ash Saturday. That's what you call it.
Yeah. You can call it. People understand.
Yes. Saturday and Sunday after Carnival.
So what's it about?
At Central Bank.
Yes, Central Bank. We are taking a look at life in Trinidad. That's why we're calling it Trinbago Suite. And I just make funny moments in some moments that people find, oh, why is she talking about? Why is she doing that? Like I have a piece called Lazy Bandits. It is so funny. It is making a parody on everything, on crime, on the politics, on everything, on Carnival, and it's all fun. And yes, we're doing it's vignettes, about four vignettes, and they all deal with a different topic. And the last one is all traditional mass meet politics kind of thing.
Penny, you see all them big words you're using for our listeners. Especially some of them, the vignettes. You have to explain what's a vignette. You know, I don't even know what the hell is a vignette.
A vignette, like short scenes. Short.
So when there should be a custom short scenes.
Yeah. Well, now that I know that I've been doing vignettes,
it's like when has been doing vignettes all his.
But you and Paul have both been doing vignettes.
Why you keep dragging me back around?
To exclude yourself.
I'm actually a vignette. I like that. I want to use that.
I am 6'3.5". I have no short vignette.
You have no short vignette. Yeah.
Okay. So it's you, Cecilia Salazar,
yes,
Rode, and Penny. Okay.
You know, we have a cast of some young upcoming actors. We have Nicholas Sabero. We have Carlina Holder. We have Joshua Phillip, who's just graduated from my Necessary Arts School. And we have Benita Wilson, who also is a Necessary Arts student. So we have some mature, experienced.
No, veteran seasoned actors. Veteran seasoned actors.
From the words. And we have some young people in there as well.
We have some old for young chicks.
We just saw Nicholas actually in the Engine Room music video. Yeah, in Ola's video. We just saw Nicholas in that there.
Yes, yeah.
You wrote it, Penny?
Yes, I wrote it. All of it is new. It's all original, never been done before pieces.
That's always nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Oh, good. It is. And one of our pieces, the last vignette or short scene, is all about politics and the political dramas that's been going on in Trinidad and Tobago, most importantly. And the bacchanal is happening such at a fast pace. You know, sometimes they can't keep up with the writing. I've been trying to change script, but I said no. I said stop myself. You cannot get any more because we're getting so much material. from the politicians and life in Trinidad.
In TNT.
Yes.
Life in TNT, we always used to make jokes that, the rest of the world, Associated Press checks Trinidad news first and then goes to the rest of the world, because we always have something going on for a small space.
Penny, can I give you some unknown secrets politically that you could slip in?
Let me try.
Political secrets you give in there? Let me.
Unknown. The phrase Wendell, unknown political secrets.
Yes, I understand.
Something to happen behind the scenes, maybe, that people may not be aware of.
Yeah, and you want them to be aware of it in my production.
Yes.
I'll say, Paul, tell me.
Wait, that was the Bus Mark segment.
Okay, thank you for that.
He given you a new segment. He given you a 5th episode now, Penny.
Yes,
Bus the Mark.
Bus the Mark, I love it. I love it. We could do that.
There's a lot I'm privy to,
There's a lot of what?
I'm privy to that I can't speak of myself.
And I appreciate that, and I'm sure they appreciate that too.
So you're going to be doing it via Penny then? Proxy?
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, well,
yes.
good.
And I will keep your name a secret, Paul. Nobody would know.
And the names will be changed slightly. Like if it's a Wendell Stephen, we call it Stephen Wendell's.
Yes. Yes. We have a lot of that going on in the play, where we'll see characters and they will be saying words that we've heard somewhere else, and you say, I know this character. So you will see a lot of that. There's no disclaimer in this play. Anything you see that resembling anybody, it is done on purpose.
It's strictly coincidental on purpose.
Yes.
Where can people get tickets, and what's your run?
It's it's starting on Central Bank. Box office opens on Ash Thursday or Wednesday. We're trying to figure that out, if people could get up and go in the box office. I'm sure. And then we start on Saturday and Sunday. Tickets are available at Central Bank right now. We're trying to search for another venue. Maybe it will happen. And right now we're only at Central Bank, so it's only 2 shows right now. We don't have another venue in sight. We're trying San Fernando, but they're all booked up. So right now we just have Central Bank, 2 nights only.
So you may come back after people can't count on it. So go. Is it this weekend?
No, it's the weekend after Carnival.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's
Saturday and Sunday, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the only weekend we have confirmed.
Yeah.
So
what's production like now?
It's a good weekend. It's a good weekend because it's a weekend when people post Carnival wind down, and you still will catch some of the visitors who's still here.
Yes. So I am banking on that and praying that
it's really a good weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were not going to produce this play before. We had another producer, and things happened, and that fell through. And but the material was so nice and so funny and so engaging, and the cast, they were so like, no boy, we had to do this play.
So you have any hotel room scenes like room 22 something and
no,
and
we did that some years ago. We did that hotel scene some years ago. So we're not going to bring it back.
Is Liv's making a guest appearance?
No, we couldn't handle his size.
Wow.
It was a lot to bring him in. He's a phenomenal character, Livs.
Is that a tongue-in-cheek statement, Penny?
It's a statement.
On the rail going back in time, some of our listeners are like, what are they talking about? We know Paul old and he have plenty history, but
So a small, a soft, and an old. Keep going. keep going, Richard Bacchanal sing. You have any missing files in the play? There's a lot of files missing these days,
I know there's mention of missing files, and there are mention of like our whole last scene is all set in Bago, a fictional town called Bago, and all the political dramas and foils and missteps.
So you have a character like a Duke Watts?
Yes, we have
and a Bali.
Yes, who are disguised as sparrows and robbers and they all
robbers. That's a good one. I said, you should have said this guy is robbers. That's a little typecast. Tobago robbers.
I am just saying we are writing a fictional story of a fictional town, fictional village called Bego, with some characters that might not be so fictional. Yeah.
Anyway, the play is happening Ash Saturday and Sunday.
Ash
Central Auditorium.
Ash Saturday and Sunday. Yes. Yes.
It is at the Central Bank Auditorium. It's written, you directing?
Yes, I'm
directed
as well.
Acted by Penelope Spencer, the one-woman tour de force.
Thank you for this interview.
Who's changed her batteries, so she's energized.
Yes.
Well, she probably has them solar operated now by now. So
Well,
they're out in the sun as we speak.
As we speak.
No, she'd have to put the device on the sun, and that's not appropriate.
Lord, hey.
I want people to call 798-1919 or 683-4843 for tickets, for any information that they might need about the play. It is extremely funny. I call it a bound to laugh kind of production. I mean, I was looking at rehearsal about 2 weeks ago, and I fell down laughing because those actors give you so much of themselves, and they are funny naturally. So it's very hilarious. I promise that you will laugh. This is a production.
I have to admit, I follow Rudy, and he has never done anything that has disappointed me.
Never.
That young man is so talented. I don't think he knows how talented he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has these characters. He'll be bringing some of the characters to the forum as well. And I'm hoping his character Malachi, who is so outstanding these days. Flicky gone through. Flicky is like taking a backseat to Malachi.
My daddy.
Yes. So,
all right, Connie. Thanks for stopping by. All the best.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Take care.
Okay, love. Bye.
We'll talk soon.
Penelope Spencer there. The place called, what's it called, Richard?
Trinidad Suite.
Trinbago Suite or something like that.
Trinbago Suite.
Yeah.
Trinbago Suite. I think that's it.
Who has papers?
I do.
Well, wait. Pause.
You should be putting the papers up on the screen.
You're not bringing up the graphics and here are the dailies this morning.
That's going to come. I can't give everything one day.
And it's
I can't do everything in one day.
I would think so.
Exactly.
It flips
that
pages.
Will come.
It's flipping pages, isn't it?
Okay, that will come.
Look, Richard doing it for you.
Right? So, Richard is going to do the papers. Go ahead.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so let's do the newspapers this morning. At least we'll do the headlines. Today, of course, is Friday, the 10th of February 2023. The headline, Time to Unite. Marshall, competitions like Soca Monarch unsustainable, too distracting. He is on the headline of the Daily Express this morning. Time to Unite, and there's a picture of Marshall. Goodbye, Anil, my love. And of course, it's about Anil Beam's funeral yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So there's a picture of that. Goodbye, Anil, my love.
I have a very funny joke to make there that I won't.
Girl 4 drowns in pool. So all of that is on the front page of the Daily Express. It is a wraparound this morning, and all with pictures of Carnival. So it's just Carnival, all over the newspapers. So the Daily Express, the wraparound, the back page is basically pictures of the festival in full swing. Moving on to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Let's see what the headlines are. New electronic licensing inspection process finds stolen vehicles scam. That's the headline. Officers discover scores of fake documents in the system. So that's the main headline that the TNT Guardian decided to go with. The main picture is also of Anil Beam's funeral. Calls for national award for Beam. So there's a picture of that, and of course it's very tragic and sad. Anil Beam's death.
Did you ever see what caused his death?
Heart attack.
Yeah, heart attack.
Yeah.
Girl 4 drowns in pool. That's one of the sub-headlines. And Tobago records its first murder. And I suppose that was a viral video that was making the rounds that took place in Tobago, where the guy was sitting on the side, like waiting for transport or something. What the hell is going on? Anyway. And on the back page, Bravo puts TNT ahead. That's the headline, and that's the only headline that you need to know. Moving on to the Newsday for today, and the headline in the Newsday, first murder in Tobago for the year. That's the headline the Newsday went with. THA worker gunned down. Tearful send-off for Anil Beam. So Anil Beam's funeral, and pictures from it is on the front page of all of the dailies this morning. And so there's a picture of that. A song for Anil. Chutney star Ravi B raises his hand as he sings during the funeral for his good friend and fellow performing artist Anil Beam on Thursday at the Diwali Nagar in Shogona. So that's the main picture on the front page of the Newsday. And on the back page, Bravo guides TNT to 368 for 8 on day 2 versus Hurricanes as the Red Force hold the edge. So that's the back page of the Newsday today. So that's our 3 dailies this morning in Trinidad and Tobago. So now you know what's going on in the Twin Island Republic.
All right. Well, let's get into this morning's poll. But before I do that, I'll give you the results of our poll from yesterday, where we asked you, should the documents requested by King's Counsel Victor Nelson in the state case against former AG Anand Ramlogan and Attorney General Ramdeen be unsealed and available to the public? That was our poll yesterday. The results are in. 78%, 78 said yes. 78% said yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get
I
into
think
this
Paul
one.
suggested a poll. All right, there's it. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a graphic that says morning poll on the Power Breakfast Show to some music that you all selected. Probably still.
Yeah. Well, the budget is not large yet.
You know, I expected too much too early.
But I actually thought he was working on this thing a while, because he always taking his time off on the program now. So I thought he had everything down pat, but clearly he didn't.
No, he was just having vignettes. So the
Paul Vivian Richards, boy. Aye.
All right, so our poll, gentlemen.
Our poll this morning, listeners. Do you agree with Marshall Montano that Soca Monarch was wasting taxpayers' money? That's our poll this morning. What do you think?
What a statement.
Yeah, 222-8255, 612-8255. North Americans toll free, 866-525-1099. And of course, on our mobile app and on our website at power102fm.com, you can send us a message, say yes or no. All right. Good morning to Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Central Animal Lover, good morning to you. Celebrating your birthday come Sunday, the 12th. So happy birthday to you, Central Animal Lover. All the best to you. Rena Boudou Jennings, Dennis, Sankofa, good morning. Ish out in Malik. His answer is yes. Trevor Narima.
Yeah, I'm writing.
Trevor Narima says no. All right. Let's get some calls in.
So do you agree with Marshall Montano that Soca Monarch was wasting taxpayers' money? That's our poll this morning. What says you?
Good morning, Kunupie. No.
All righty, Kunupie, thank you.
So 2-2 talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what to do. I'm always a little out of sync, can't I?
Yeah, well, one out of sync, one vignetting. What am I doing?
Because I'm not seeing me aligning.
No, your voice. Yes, you're not.
All right. Paula, good morning, guys. Launch Park in its current form, yes. Thank you, Launch Park. Paula,
Well,
you
it can't
didn't.
be in its current form. I don't think Marshall qualified that. He said it was wasting taxpayers' money. I would imagine.
Ray says yes.
Yeah, I would imagine he meant for a while now. I
Yeah.
can't see him. Yeah.
Do you agree with Marshall Montano that Soca Monarch was wasting taxpayers' dollars? That's our poll. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Grammy, no.
Thank you. All right. Paula says no. Trinity in Boston says no. Thank you so much, guys. 222-8255, 612-8255. Toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Do you agree with Marshall Montano that the Soca Monarch competition was wasting taxpayers' money?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's our poll.
Up,
People in
up.
other parts of the planet,
Let's get the graphic
1868.
going. Morning, Zena.
Morning, gentlemen.
Say special good morning to Paul. He's a bit upset.
He's upset.
Yeah.
Paul. No, I don't see Paul ever being upset.
Mm.
No, maybe he does be. Richard, not Richard. Steve, you looking for trouble on an early and comment.
You're confused.
My answer is no.
All righty. Go back to bed.
All right.
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Carnival. And who is wasting taxpayers' money? So I agree, yes.
Did you just blaspheme this nation? Did he just blaspheme this nation?
What did he say? I didn't hear.
Carnival on a whole is wasting taxpayers' money.
Well, that's his opinion.
That's his opinion. If he doesn't like Carnival, he doesn't like
You
Carnival.
don't like Carnival? You don't like Carnival?
No.
Well, you could not like Carnival, but how could you? Anyway, let me ask you. Let me leave them people alone.
That's his
Stretch.
opinion.
Morning Stretch says hell no. Mr. Beep Beep. Yeah. No to the poll. Carol Guevara also says no to the poll. Thank you, Carol. Yeah. All right. So 222-8255, 612-8255. Toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Do you agree with Marshall Montano that the Soca Monarch competition was wasting taxpayers' money? That's our poll.
Exactly. That's our poll this morning. Of course, people in other parts of the world, 1-868-222-TALK, 222-8255. Do you agree with Marshall Montano that Soca Monarch has been wasting taxpayers' money? It's a waste of taxpayers' money, sorry. That's our
Rena Bodo
poll.
Jennings says no, not at all. Thank you, Rena.
We taking your votes. Vote.
I think
Yeah,
Marshall
that's
also.
all.
Yeah, Marshall.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I agree, because especially since William Monroe left that show, the show went to dog. It's not fun. It's not fun to look at anymore. Look at the crowd. The crowd has dwindled down to almost nothing. So yes, it's wasting taxpayers' money.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
I think he also went on to say that it was a show. It wasn't a show for upcoming artists, but it was a show for established artists. You know, in other words, once the big guns left the show, that was the end of the show. I don't know that I could totally agree with that, because it saw the growth of a lot of the young artists who came up after Marshall and them left the show. You understand? Voice and them came up after, you know, and
Riri says no. CJ from New York says no. Renu Halasi says yes.
All right.
Mo Gaines. Yes, from my beautiful wife and myself. That's 2. Thank you, Mo Gaines. 2. What says you, caller?
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Yeah, my answer to the poll this morning will be no, you can't separate it from the whole. If you say one wasting all the entire thing wasting, I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. Thanks, Alistair.
Ken E says no. Thank you, Ken E. All right, we have a minute again for our morning poll before we head up to our major news at 7 on this perfect day, the 10th day of February. Wayne out in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada. Warm one, Wayne, says yes. Thank you.
Morning, Tinto. I will endeavor to check on that thing today for you. I'm sure he's listening. Anthony Tinto.
Lorna. Morning, guys. Yes. Thank you. Morning, Indy. Morning, Kali.
So do you agree with Marshall Montano that Soca Monarch was wasting taxpayers' money? That's our poll this morning. What do you think?
Couple of seconds again.
Yeah. Maybe we could try to get on the Marshall Montano also. Have we ever interviewed Marshall?
Yes.
We have? I don't remember that. Morning, Carol. I don't remember us interviewing him. I would have spoken to Marshall because Downtown Carnival honored him some years ago. I remember that when we were in collaboration with Power 102 and Corey, and we really pulled it off because one of the provisions was that Marshall would not perform. He said yes, he will come and accept the award from Power 102 and from Downtown Carnival, but he would not be performing. So we said no problem. We're happy to have you there. And when he came on stage and accepted the award from then Mayor Timke, now deceased, Corey had an inkling that he would, and all of a sudden, Steve, I'm sure you were there backstage that time, and Marshall brought down the house at Woodford Square that day. He put on a performance like how only he can, because he really is a super performer. And he performed for us without us really expecting it or us announcing it,
All right. Well, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. If he's in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The law to establish regional corporations, Diego Martin and Saparia, as boroughs has been listed for debate in Parliament on Friday afternoon. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Basasa calls on Chief Justice Ivor Archie to come clean on Naipaul Coolman missing file imbroglio. And the death toll rises. Over 21,000 reported dead in Turkey and Syria following earthquake. Details in a moment. This is News to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. The law to establish regional corporations, Diego Martin and Saparia, as boroughs has been listed for debate in Parliament on Friday afternoon. Rural Development and Local Government Minister Al-Rawi will pilot the bill, which requires a simple majority vote for passage. In November 2020, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced both corporations would become boroughs by 2021. In March 2022, Dr. Rowley again spoke of the two new boroughs to come, adding that the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, controlled by the PNM, had agreed and advanced to the cabinet that it wants Diego Martin to become the next borough. In 2021, the opposition UNC, while welcoming borough status for UNC-controlled Saparia Corporation, warned the move should not be cosmetic. UNC MP Khadija Amin, a local government spokesman, also expressed concern over whether plans to upgrade Saparia into a borough weren't just a political ploy to create a PNM leaning in the constituency held by opposition leader Kamla Persad-Basasa. Meanwhile, also at the Parliament sitting, Dr. Rowley is expected to face a second round of questions for the Prime Minister. More clarity is again being sought on the Naipaul Coolman imbroglio. Opposition leader Kamala Prasad Bisasa has called on Chief Justice Iva Archie to come clean and say if newly appointed Judge Justice Karen Reid Ballantyne was the judicial officer who reportedly returned the missing but not found malicious prosecution file of the 9 men once accused of the murder of Vindra Naipaul Coolman. Via a release on Thursday, Prasad Bisasa said the matter could not be swept under the carpet. She said the allegation that the trial was conducted by then Assistant Solicitor General Karen Reid Ballantyne without a file is being made by the Attorney General, who represents the state and is the titular head of the bar. She also said she was concerned by the Chief Justice's response to questions posed to him by herself and the media. She insisted the explanation of the missing file was all a plot hatched and publicized by the Attorney General to cover up his own incompetence and mismanagement of his ministry and has been totally discredited. The opposition leader said to compound the folly was the claim by the government that the file had been returned to the acting SG in the wake of the UNC's demands for Justice Reid Ballantyne to break her silence on the malicious serious allegation she conducted the assessment trial without the relevant file. A stolen vehicle scam has been uncovered at licensing. As the licensing division cracks down on vehicle inspections, cases of stolen vehicles as well as duplicate chassis and number plates are being discovered. According to information from Transport Commissioner Clive Clark, for years these vehicles were being inspected, passed, and allowed to drive onto the nation's roads. He made the comment at a media conference yesterday, saying that the division's new electronic system has been revealing these illegal transactions. He said the new system mandates that owners bring their vehicles into testing stations or licensing offices for inspection. He said since the moratorium issued by the Ministry of Works and Transport, extending the life of permits and inspections until December 31st, 2022 ended, hundreds have been coming in to get their inspections done. Clark said the new system has unearthed many corrupt practices. He said there were also cases of licensing employees as well as private vehicle testing stations entering the wrong information, forcing vehicle owners to now have to rectify these errors at the licensing office. Asked what safeguards were being put in place to prevent employees of private testing stations from selling the new electronic stickers, Clark said licensing officers will be making random checks on these private stations. A 10-year-old boy and his 41-year-old father remain in critical condition at hospital after being attacked by gunmen, and police are hunting the men responsible for shooting the two in St. James on Wednesday morning. Officers of the Western Division conducted several operations along Long Circular Road yesterday, searching for the suspects. However, up to last night, no one had been held in connection with the incident. According to reports this morning, the 41-year-old man was warded at the Port of Spain General Hospital, having been shot in the head and chest. The child was stabilized at hospital before being transferred to the intensive care unit at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, Mount Hope. He underwent surgery on Wednesday afternoon, with surgeons removing bullets from his stomach and chest. They were unable to remove the bullet from the boy's head. He is a Standard 4 pupil of the Ascension AC School, St. James. Around 6:45 a.m., according to reports on Wednesday, gunmen stormed the family's home along Daybay Road and shot at the older man. At the time, the boy was in close proximity. A 5-year-old boy who was also in the house at the time was not harmed by the suspects, who then fled the scene following the incident. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. More than 21,000 people have been killed and tens of thousands injured after a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck Turkey and Syria on Monday, according to officials. Rescue workers are racing against time to pull survivors from the rubble of collapsed buildings. Some heartwarming successes were seen in Turkey, but an aid group said hope is fading in northwest Syria. Survivors, many of whom are homeless, could face a secondary disaster as cold and snow lead to worsening and horrific conditions, the World Health Organization said on Thursday. Pakistan has sent a cargo plane carrying 20 metric tons, 22 short tons of relief goods for earthquake victims in Turkey as the search for survivors continues across the country. Just off a cargo plane carrying relief goods of 20 tons for the earthquake victims of Turkey, Pakistan has established an air, land, and sea bridge for the provision of relief assistance for brothers and sisters in Syria and Turkey, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif said on Friday. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, mostly fair and breezy or windy, despite a few partly cloudy intervals with brisk showers. Generally, fair night is expected. Winds can become gusty at times, especially in the vicinity of showers. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 30 degrees Celsius at Crown Point, Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco International Airport is 24 degrees Celsius, as well as Crown Point in Tobago. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the law to establish regional corporations, Diego Martin and Saparia, as boroughs, has been listed for debate in Parliament on Friday afternoon. Opposition leader Kamla Prasad-Basassa calls on Chief Justice Ivor Archie to come clean on Naipaul Coolman missing file imbroglio. And the death toll rises. Over 21,000 reported dead in Turkey and Syria following earthquake. I'm Avril St-Hilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
I come from a place of love. Vibes don't get just never stop. Like something just trigger away. Like you with them just give me energy. 10,000 coming strong. All the way. Tell them if you don't want nobody. I say this one for culture. Every masquerader. We say long live soca. Boy, when if you love this thing, then jump up. Back in the time, say jump up. Hands in the sky and jump up. Put them up high and jump up. Somebody jump up. Come the way, jump up. Everybody jump up. All over there. This thing I'm gonna beat it up like a pan.
11 minutes after there is 7 o'clock on this, the 10th day of February. Good morning to you. Thank you so much, Evie, for our major news. Of course, we have a news brief coming up at 8. All right. Quickly, let's take a look what's happening traffic-wise. Yeah, pretty much from Piarco to UE on the highway, and then Valsine to Port of Spain. All right, got some traffic. Coming out of Maraval, lighter than usual. Still got some traffic, but it's not as heavy. Diego Martin, same thing. Lower Santa Cruz. The Eastern Main Road going to Tacarigua and St. Augustine and St. Joseph, Mount Hope. Towards Sawa and Mobile Junction, you've got some traffic there as well. All right. I got an accident to tell you about. It's a minor accident. It's on Endeavour Connector Road. All right. Take a look at the Solo. San Fernando, usual streets, but lighter than usual. All I can say, but Charlieville towards the highway. You got some traffic there. All right. That's a quick traffic update for you. 24 degrees at Piarco and Crown Point in Tobago. All right. Of course, let's get the results of our morning poll. I do believe I have a result for you. Yep. I got Sam saying no. All right. So Sam says no. All right. Let's get the results, my friends.
Randall, you're muted. Randall, you are muted.
Well, we had 24 people voting on the...
My apologies.
Hi, you hearing me, right?
Yes,
we had 24 people on the poll this morning. And of course, the poll was whether you agree with Marshall Montano's statement that Sugar Monarch was a waste of taxpayers' money. We had 24 people voting. 14 of you said no. And 10 of you said yes. So 14 said no, 10 of you said yes. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through all programming, and we'll give you the final results on Monday morning as we zoom towards Carnival. So that's it for
Let's
our poll
welcome
this
one
morning.
of Trinidad and Tobago's premier fetters. Good morning, Martin George.
You see, I had to look up because I thought you all had another guest also.
You threaten you bring all the threaten them.
Hi, good morning. Good morning.
Fed after Fed. That's what Martin did.
Martin George enjoys himself. Let's just put it this way. And he is proud to post when he's enjoying himself. I like that.
Yes, he should.
I like that.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
How are you, Council, joining us this morning?
Yeah, I'm great. How's
the New Year treating you so far?
Extremely busy. But I always tell people busy is good, so I don't complain.
Busy is
Well,
very
especially as an attorney.
Yes.
Well, the year started with a bang. Well, last year ended with a bang, and an unfortunate grim milestone bang of a record-breaking number of murders. And January started with 61 by my last count, which is another grim milestone that we can't celebrate in any way. We shouldn't be celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on just last year and why you think we got there? If there was any we could have done differently, or we can learn from it, and also January, because if the January trend continues, we're going to surpass that, unfortunately.
Well, true, because if you just extrapolate the numbers, 61 by 12, you're crossing 720, so we definitely don't want to reach into those numbers. But the fact of the matter is that when one looks back at last year, it's clear that there has been a heightening of the lawlessness and the total disregard for lawful authority. You've seen more brazen attacks. You've seen more reckless attacks. Whereas previously, I guess maybe there was some code of honor among the criminals that maybe they wouldn't be attacking women or children. That's out the door. You saw children murdered as collateral damage. I think even for the start of this year, you had at least 2 instances, of youngsters being murdered. Also, look at the situation of that boy in St. Augustine. He was just running across the road to see if his grandmother was okay. The police said he clearly was not the target. There was no connection at all whatsoever with the who the bandits came for, and still they killed the boy. So I think that we really have to recognize that we have, I think, basically crossed the Rubicon when it comes to that idea of us thinking that we are safe and secure in Trinidad and Tobago. And what's the amazing thing about it? Paul, Wendell, and Richard, and Steve, is the fact that what we see reported in the media is not the full picture. Because there are so many things that happen that are not reported. We had a client who was supposed to meet with us yesterday, and the woman couldn't because she and her husband at 9 o'clock in the morning were held up at gunpoint and robbed of their vehicle. That didn't make news, it didn't make papers. So you ask yourself, how many more incidents like that happen across Trinidad and Tobago on a daily basis that we don't even know about because they don't make the media? So, the amount of crime that is occurring, I think, is actually more than we even know or are willing to acknowledge or accept. And the reality is that Erla Christopher, as the new commissioner coming in, she really has her hands full. And while one is certainly happy for her, being appointed to the post, you ask yourself, is it that the government has given some assurance that she will be there more than a couple months, because she's going to turn 60 in May. So you ask yourself, what is the plan there when you have that on the cards? Is it that you have guaranteed that she's going to be getting another 2 years in the post or something of the sort, so that some sort of proper planning can be done and some sort of proper implementation can be done by her, or is it just basically to give a golden handshake, upon retirement?
Well, to be
We
fair,
have to ask these
the
questions.
Prime Minister indicated when he presented it to the Parliament last Friday that her birthday is in May, and there's a plan in place to petition the PSC to offer her, which they can under the law, I understand, a year contract past that on contract past the retirement, with the option to renew if her performance is optimal after that year. So he actually addressed that in the Parliament.
Right, yes, I know. And I mean, the thing is, Paul, I mean, while, yes, they have agreed to do so, I mean, even in such a scenario, you ask yourself, is it that, okay, 3 months and then a 1 year and then a 1 year after that, is that really sufficient for someone to really be able to actually make a difference or make a dent in it, if it is that you are on this kind of, waiting game? I mean, of course, we hope that she will. I mean, the nation is full of expectation in that regard. But the thing is, she now, I think, needs to come out and speak to the public. I'm very sorry, and I think both yourself and I think Mr. Scotland and Senator Lakshmi, she also expressed her disappointment, that the commissioner designate did not show up at the Joint Select Committee meeting. And I think that's an important meeting that she ought to have been there to at least be able to give some, accounting to the nation. Okay, well, all right, okay, coming into the job, these are my plans, this is what I'm looking at doing, this is how I plan to tackle these things. I mean, Paul, as a member of the Police Service Commission, I remember whenever we had Joint Select Committee, that is something you took very, very seriously. You don't miss that. You don't miss that at all, and I mean, I saw yesterday something she missed again, again claiming national security. And I'm thinking, but I mean, the Joint Select Committee of Parliament, this is one of the highest bodies you could ever be summoned before. So therefore, how could you tell me that you have something? I mean, unless it's a National Security Council that has a meeting maybe going on for 2 days now, that nobody knows about, because parliamentarians ought to know if National Security Council is having a meeting, because some of the members would make up that. So I was underwhelmed by her absence. That's all I will say.
The certainty of a police commissioner, because that's what you're touching on, the hardcore certainty of a police commissioner being appointed and being appointed for a definitive period. We have often gone into periods where we have had acting commissioners of police for lengthy periods of time. Do you think that issue of non-confirmation or a no substantive holder feeds into the criminality that we see in the country, or you think that it really doesn't have an impact on the criminals?
Well, it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to, because if you are the acting commissioner, then you are imbued with all the power, authority, and responsibility of a substantive commissioner. It's just that in terms of your tenure, you personally don't have that tenure. But I mean, once you personally are able to get over that, you ought to be able to get on with the job, if you understand me. So it's not a question of saying, well, I am acting, so therefore I can't get this done. No, you have all the power and authority of the office.
But there are some
positions
in the country, Martin, that have a particular tenure, so they are not likely to be influenced politically, because you don't have that guillotine hanging over your head. And that is why those positions are substantive to what Richard referenced. So while it technically should not impact your performance and you giving your all, the fact that you have a year and you could be renewed or not renewed, and then the next year and you could be renewed, it can have some impact.
Yes, I mean, at a human level, I could understand that, yes, it can impact on an individual, but you are supposed to be able to rise above that if it is that you have accepted the acting appointment. So having accepted the acting appointment, you can't say, well, because I am not confirmed, I am not able to give my best or give my fullest. That can't be an excuse.
Well,
so I think we have to look past that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Isn't it a bit unfair to Ms. Christopher to say that she may not, and I'm using my words, may not be effective because she only has until May and then she may only get a year, is not a bit unfair to her in terms of prejudging her performance?
No. Nobody's prejudging her. What we're saying is that the JSC would have been a wonderful opportunity for her to demonstrate to the nation what her plans are. And as I said, we all are hoping that she succeeds. For Trinidad and Tobago's benefit, we hope she succeeds. Nobody wants her to fail in this.
Yeah, but for sure. Because she is coming in at probably the toughest time a police commissioner ever came into office.
Possibly, quite possibly. I fully agree. I fully agree. Because there are lots of issues swirling around still. You have the FUL investigation going on. You have several other things going on. But I mean, the point is she has to basically man up to the job. And I say that, no pun intended.
I'm going to tell Mrs. Christopher the same thing I would have told Gary Griffith and any other commissioner before. Clean up the police service and you halfway there to cleaning up crime. The police service is where that action needs to take place first. And you're seeing evidence of it every single day at every level from policemen and policewomen. You're seeing the problems. They are abusive, they abuse their authority in large measure, and they take advantage of citizens. And if you
look at the officer who's on charges now.
Yes.
Traffic warden.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a classic example of why the public, in a large respect, has lost confidence and mistrust the police service. In spite of everything that's happened in the last couple of years, you choose to do that in a public space with that level of hubris.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Ulla Christopher has actually received her instruments in terms of her appointment. Or if
she hasn't.
She hasn't, Richard.
She's still a designee at this point.
Yes, that's correct.
But I do think there is value. I'm not even talking about the JSC. I'm talking about, I do think there is value for Ulla Christopher, even as the designate, to hold a press conference with the country.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree.
These are my plans. This is where crime is at, and setting the tone for her stewardship.
Yes. I fully agree, because in other words, what are you going to do differently that has not been done before that is going to make make that change that we are all yearning for? And she needs to lay out some sort of plan in that regard and be able to show us, because otherwise it's not supposed to be just a question of marking time until retirement.
Well, we wish all the best. I bring up this next topic with great trepidation and a bit of sarcasm. The missing file, or the non-missing file, or the misplaced file, or the non-misplaced file, and the case that was not presented by the state, resulting in a $20 million judgment in absentia. And how, because I've seen you comment in it, I've seen Martin Daly comment in it. We interviewed Ramesh Lawrence Maraj. Martin Daly says that the population, I'm paraphrasing, is being hoodwinked by the excuse that the file was missing, so we couldn't present a defense, a challenge. Ramesh Lawrence Maraj, we spoke to last week, who said missing file is a misnomer because of the system that's involved with the interconnectivity of the various elements putting together a case and defending and prosecuting a case, including the police. So what are the elements here that disturb you most?
I would think that the explanations which emanated from the Office of the Attorney General, which tended to generate more questions than answers, I think that's the most disturbing aspect of it, because the Attorney General is the only other officer necessary, apart from the Prime Minister, to constitute the cabinet. You look at Section 75 of the Constitution, they make that clear. To comprise the cabinet, you must have the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. So you could have a cabinet with them alone. So that gives you the significance and importance of that role and function. So therefore, when you speak from the office of the Attorney General, you are supposed to inspire confidence, trust, and people are supposed to recognize that, well, look, yes, he has spoken and we accept and respect what he says. That does not appear to have been the case with that press conference. And, you ask yourself several questions. When you talk about, okay, a physical file and you say it was missing and you didn't have it, and that is being proffered as some part of some conspiracy theory, that, the file was, in fact, the words were used, made to disappear. And then he said, well, he's not forming a conclusion, so he pulled back on that. So basically, you are delving into the realm of, these ideas of, some, nefarious plot going on behind the scenes. And the reality is, as we in the profession all know, Richard, you know this, we are into electronic filing and electronic service since during the pandemic.
Exactly.
Everything is filed and served electronically. So what are you telling me about a missing paper file?
Yeah, it's puzzling. Yeah.
And then when you look at the trail of emails back and forth between the chief state solicitor's officer and the attorneys for these 9 men, you saw acknowledgements all along the way. You saw documents being served. Then you saw the replies by email saying, yes, received. Notices were sent out by the judiciary as to the hearings. Those notices were received and acknowledged. So what are you telling me about this, this story about a missing paper file? And then it turns out that, well, who knows, maybe it was not missing at all, because the minute you appoint the investigators to locate to unearth the mystery of this missing file, the file pops up. So it's either these investigators are extremely, good at what they're doing, in which case we could ask them to go and find the Loch Ness Monster, go and find Bigfoot and, go and find the Easter Bunny, because, the point is that the file showed up immediately. So then what are you really telling us? And since then, we've not had a press conference from the AG saying, well, okay, this is what happened as to why we found the file. He's standing behind the investigator and saying, well, the investigation is going on.
Yeah, he's standing behind that. You know what is confusing to me, Martin? The issue there, the Solgen's office and the chief state solicitor both have workflows that in a normal, because this is not new to them. This case, the issue of cases against the state is not a new thing. The case is constantly sued, constitutional motions,
all the time.
They're always getting these kinds of cases. So there is an established workflow. So what went wrong? And there are many competent people in those divisions. So I'm not so sure what went wrong. So my only assumption is that the workflow had to have been changed.
Well, I don't know, but the thing is, even the attempt to disassemble and disaggregate the separate divisions doesn't make any sense, because all one has to do is just go on the website for the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, and you actually see they have it almost as a logo, all your departments under one umbrella serving you. So therefore, the Solgen, Chief State Solicitor, the Attorney General's office, they are all under one umbrella. So therefore, you can't point fingers and say, well, Chief State Solicitor did this or didn't do that. Or, no, they are all under the aegis of the Ministry of Attorney General and Legal Affairs. And therefore, in other words, responsibility has to stop with you. It has to come to your feet, and you have to claim and own it. And basically, man up and say, well, hey, listen, all right, okay, clearly the ball was dropped. This is not going to happen again because these systems are being put in place, something of that nature, right? But here's where it gets even more mysterious, Paul and Richard and Wendell. You saw as part of the judgment from Master Alexander, where it was clearly stated that the state attorneys who represented Trinidad and Tobago and the Attorney General's office in the assessment of damages, they made an offer of $1.2 million for each of these 9 men. Where did these state attorneys get that authority from? They cannot, of their own volition, walk into a courtroom and say, I am offering. No, that's not possible. You always have to get that signed off from the highest authority. They are the ones who will give you the authority. So therefore, when you come to the public and the impression is given, well, all of this happened behind our back in secret. No. Who gave the state attorneys the authority to offer? Because they made an offer, I want the public of Trinidad and Tobago to understand that. So in other words, even if Ananwam Logan and his team did nothing, the state was already putting on the table an offer of $1.2 million each for those men. So in other words, you're talking, basically the state was already offering more than $10 million in a judgment. Voluntarily, they offered that. Where did those instructions come from? Who signed off on that? Those are the questions that need to be answered, and we need some transparency.
What is important in terms of the outcome of the investigation by retired Justice Ralston Nelson, is a senior counsel, I think, and
former CCJ judge.
Yeah, and Stanley John. What is important to you as a citizen coming out of that investigation?
Well, the thing is, first of all, I would hope that there is complete independence in their investigation. And I have already flagged something that was of concern to me when I saw the release, the late evening or late night release by Justice Stanley John, Justice of Appeal Stanley John, comment on the Attorney General office's letterhead. So that by itself raises questions. In other words, are you really that independent if the release is coming on the letterhead of the Attorney General, where they said they found the file? So the independence is important, and I think both men are more than capable of demonstrating robust independence, and I think they need to make that clear to the public, so that way at least there would be some semblance of trust and reliability that people will place on whatever they find. Because we don't want this investigation to simply be a cloak or a mask for excusing or exonerating or exculpating those who are responsible, to say, well, there's nothing to see here, no, nobody's at fault, nothing happened, that kind of thing. The public would not be satisfied if that is the intent. And I respect those two gentlemen too much to think that they would ever be a part of that.
Well,
but I think they need to demonstrate that clearly to the public.
Is there now a credibility issue with information coming from the Office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs?
Well, that sounds like you touching on the Miami case.
Well, it's not one thing.
Yes.
You just outlined the reason given for the lack of mounting a defense to the individual April Coleman thing. We have the situation where, and Reginald Amor is one of the nicest guys you'll meet. He's that's
the thing.
But at the end of the day, it's not one thing in a pretty short tenure so far.
Yes. The point is, it's interesting.
This is coming on the heels of an Attorney General who was essentially demoted.
But yes. I was going to touch on that. Is he being called upon to clean up mess that he didn't create?
Well, the point is, even if that's the case, then you need to call a spade and, say, okay, this is what I found. This is where the problem is. But we haven't heard that. Instead, what we've gotten is smoke and mirrors. And that is where I am very disappointed. All we've gotten is smoke and mirrors and attempts to deflect and shift focus and basically to do a disappearing act, so to speak. It's like the file disappeared and then now it reappeared. Wow, the next thing we'll see a rabbit being pulled out of a hat at the next press conference.
Let's pull this rabbit out of this hat. Do you expect any one of those office holders to pay a price for what is clearly a mess in the area.
Not in Trinidad and Tobago. I think in any civilized country in the world, you would see people, first of all, tendering their resignations. And if not, they would be immediately called upon to resign and, demit office, but not in Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, we promote people when they do things like this. So there's absolutely no question of anybody stepping down or resigning. It's not going to happen. That's the country we have. Let's be realistic.
Vincent Nelson has now asked for his case file to be unsealed and made public. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think that is interesting because he now has, turned on the state. He was supposed to be the state's ace in the hole. And due to the unraveling of this whole Vincent Nelson fiasco, which again is another thing where really and truly there ought to have been some proper accountability and persons should have been called upon to demit office for that fiasco, he is now waging his war against the state because he feels, well, look, hey, I'm the one left holding the bag here. So it's going to be very interesting to see when those proceedings are unsealed.
Bag of money.
Sorry?
Or he wants to be the one left holding the bag of money.
Well,
wasn't the bag of money always?
I guess so.
Wasn't the bag of money always the intention?
Well, it appears that was the root of it all. That appears to have been the genesis of it all.
But isn't that the history of the
but
individual?
even in that matter, I mean, when you look at what appears to have been unwarranted interference, you ask yourself, where are we really going as a nation? Why do these things continue to happen? And you have these grandiose, you make a big show of, yes, we're going and deal with this, we're going and then everything falls down in a shambles, and you have millions of dollars wasted again in legal fees that you pay to senior counsels or persons you fly in from abroad. You put them up in hotels, and I mean, we just keep going through this type of cycle again and again and again. And you ask yourself now, even with this current investigation into this disappearing file, I mean, how many millions more is it going to cost the state in trying to chase down this rabbit hole of the disappearing file?
Martin, life in some way mirrors movies and movies mirror life, right? So I was telling these guys and them, I had watched an episode the other day recently of CSI New York, I think. Where this officer went into this jail, he went in as an officer and started a riot, encouraged a riot in the prison for a particular prisoner to escape, right? And at the end of the day, in getting out of the prison himself, he was shot. But before he died, before he took his last breath, he confessed to the officers that his family they were being held hostage and being threatened if he didn't break out this prisoner. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe at all possible that we could be facing scenarios like that in Trinidad and Tobago, where people's families are under threat and they're being forced to do certain things to allow people to go free?
Well, I honestly don't know. I don't like to speculate on things I don't have facts about. So I mean, it sounds like a very nice and interesting movie plot, but in terms of whether it is really occurring, I can't say yay or nay.
But you said just now a short while ago that this is Trinidad. You don't expect anybody to pay a price.
Right, that's for sure.
Right. But so in Trinidad, can we expect that something like that could be happening? Do you think that something like that is possible?
Well, I mean, the point is, I would not even want to venture a speculation or, because if that is possible in Trinidad and Tobago, then we are really in a bad place. So I don't even want to speculate on that.
We have had state witnesses killed in here, man.
Well, yes, of course.
People who have turned on
of course. But I mean, what you are alluding to goes a little bit deeper than that, and I'm hoping we never get there.
But
That's all I'll
did
say.
you answer the
The
question?
state has
Maybe I
always
missed
said
it.
that state witnesses were killed because they left the state witness protection.
Mm-hmm.
That's the state's position.
Mm-hmm.
That they were not killed while in state protection.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be clear about that.
Did you answer the question about whether you think the Vincent Nelson file should be unsealed and made public? Because he's saying he wants it made public. There was a statement from the maybe the office of the Attorney General, I could be wrong, that the DPP, that while the case was going on, the DPP has dropped the charges against Ram Logan and Ramdeen. It would be improper to release to make this files public. That case has been discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
So should the Vincent Nelson file be made public, unsealed?
Well, I would think that, you know, as a matter of full transparency and accountability, maybe it should. You know, I mean, unless the DPP can proffer some realistic hope of reinstating the charges, or, you know, to say, well, okay, you know, I am rarely going to be bringing back those charges, so therefore the release of that file is going to interfere with that, then of course you respect the jurisdiction of the DPP in that regard. But in the absence of that, it may lend to giving us greater insight into all that occurred behind the scenes, because it is clear that there was tremendous manipulation and lots of machinations going on behind the scenes in this whole Vincent Nelson fiasco.
Absolutely.
But wasn't that implied when
And I'm not
DPP
even
said
sure
that he dropped the case while the case was going on?
Sorry?
Wasn't that implied that the case could be coming by the criminal part of it, because the DPP said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he discontinued the Ram Logan Ramdeen case while Mr. Nelson's civil case was ongoing, and it would be unfair to continue holding that without.
Well, it wasn't just about the civil case, you know,
case.
Paul. It was about the fact that Victor Nelson was saying that he wasn't going to make himself available.
Or just that,
to give
okay. All right.
evidence for the preliminary
Yeah.
inquiry.
All right.
So it wasn't just about the civil case. But even if the civil case ends and the DBP thinks that he can reinstate the charges, the case is already weakened, in my opinion, because now you have the credibility
and you see, not just that, the
of
thing
the
is,
witness is now going to come into focus.
well, that's the whole thing. So, I mean, and the credibility of the state's main witness has basically been shot to hell, because now the state is at war with its own witness. You know,
it's
so
not
I mean,
tenable.
I can't see any realistic possibility of that being reinstated. And, you know, I mean, as you harken back to the malicious prosecution issue with respect to these 9 gentlemen, you ask yourself, if at the end of this whole fiasco, is it that Mr. Ram Logan and Mr. Ramdeen will also be looking to file malicious prosecution cases on their own?
Well, I think
I mean, they now have a wonderful precedent of $20 million from the courts that they can use as a starting point.
And they're not litigation shy. So
you know, so I mean, we really are not in a good place at this point. And you know, I mean, it comes back to what you're saying, Paul, in terms of the credibility coming out of the Attorney General's office. We need to be able to have that faith, trust, and confidence. Right? Look at how Merrick Garland in the US, look how he handled the finding of these documents and papers in Joe Biden's home. You know, he immediately took action, because it didn't matter that, okay, I am appointed by you. The fact of the matter is that, look, the law must take its course. The same way it took its course with Trump, then it has to take its course with you. You know, and you know, I think he got the respect of the nation when he did so. And that's what an attorney general is supposed to be. An attorney general is supposed to be attorney general for all of the country. You are not attorney general for a political party. You are not supposed to come out here and parrot a political line or come out and sing for your supper. That's not what the country needs. The country needs somebody who is strong, robust, independent. And if it is that your own government is doing nonsense, you have to have the balls and the testicular fortitude to stand up and tell them that.
But such great supply these days, you know.
As you said previously, Martin, it's Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly. And now I'm going to tell you.
You have to import testosterone.
We spoke about our culture, Martin. You're forgetting what?
What? And speaking of testosterone and testicular fortitude and testicular hubris, What do you think inspires persons to bring a bill which seeks to empower a sitting cabinet member the power to extend an FUL license?
Well, I mean, I think you all skillfully dealt with that in the parliament, and I saw that a very esteemed senator described it as a big red flag, and I think that's, I mean, clearly what it was.
I'm speaking to the mindset and the need for the kind of vigilance against that sort of potential.
Right. And it comes back to what occurs in, small economies such as ours, where basically persons set themselves up as tin gods. They want to be the strong man, the big man. I control everything. So everything you must come to me. And of course, that helps to consolidate them in power. Because in other words, if ultimately I am the one to decide if this gets extended or not, then clearly I have that power over you. And that's basically all that it was about. And I'm glad that you all spotted it and
has always
it.
been, you don't, without casting any aspersions as to any particular minister of national security, my mindset is you don't make law. We have Trump as a president, so you don't make law for who in power, but who may come to power, who may not have integrity. Or the potential for abuse.
That's right. That's right.
So
That's
while
right.
you may seem to be okay and integritous, I don't know who
think
could come
beyond yourself and think, okay, 5 years, 10 years down the road, suppose you have a minister in the office who seeks to abuse this. Why then put it in place? Yeah, I agree with you fully. I agree with you fully in that regard.
We had them already, God forbid we get them back again.
Wait a second. How you all have this man on this show still?
His opinions are sometimes valid.
Trouble.
His opinions are sometimes valid. Because they may have a particular skew doesn't invalidate them all the time.
You have a skew either way. I've criticized both.
Yeah, but I mean, but people have the right to their voice. People have the right to their political affiliation.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They have some left, they have some right, and they have some center.
Yes.
And they have some no life left to nothing.
I'm one of the very few people who is actually a representative of the People's National Movement or in the media.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was not with that. I just love your comments. I love how you just call it as you see it. That's what I love about you.
And I've called it against the PNM too, even though I am a member.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's at least you're able to be that objective.
Of us to have you and not head over to beautiful Tobago. And what we're expecting this week into the next 2 weeks should be bumper economically. A bumper time economically for Tobago, shouldn't it?
Well, it's more the after carnival period. It's more the after carnival period because I don't know why you have persons in Tobago still trying to persist with the idea of maintaining 2 carnivals. Tobago cannot sustain 2 carnivals in a year. The October experiment, I think, was very well for a first start. And once they keep building on that can grow to actually be Tobago's carnival. And I think eventually they are going to have to, move away from the February carnival and just make Tobago the getaway place, the calm, serene place, while you have all the hectic activity in Trinidad during that time. So therefore, you cater for a totally different segment of the market. So you have Boy Scouts, Girl Guides, nature lovers, you have church groups, that kind of thing. So, and you market Tobago that way. So therefore, you basically are capturing a large segment of people because lots of people who don't participate in Carnival, they want to get away from it, that kind of thing. So you cater for them. Why try to compete with Trinidad having your own Carnival at the same time when, it's not even... You're not even able to muster, any of the quality.
And then what the hell you going to market? Oh, we just had Carnival, but we're having Carnival again.
Yeah, very well said, Martin Joe.
And then, come to Carnival in October. No, come to Carnival in February. No.
Yes. It's confusing. So they need to focus on one event and make that work. And I think having it in October, there's so many advantages because let me tell you, okay, take for instance, if somebody wanted to play mass in Trinidad Carnival in February and you didn't have the money or whatever, you could say, right, look, I'll save up for October and I'll play my mass then, right? You could now have a market for persons from abroad who may not have gotten time off from their jobs because, you know, for many of the foreigners, they have to apply long in advance to get the time off. So if they couldn't make it for February, they could plan for October in Tobago. So, I mean, why not focus on one product, develop that?
Yep. And you know what happens in October? A lot of Trinidadians who of course have a visa flock to Miami. Now you're giving them the option to stay right here in Tobago.
Exactly. And then, of course, you have those who go to carnivals all over the world. They will still go Miami and they will still come to Tobago.
Yeah. I'm talking about the ones who get the visa revoked now. They get blank. Tobago down ahead.
Yes. Indeed.
You're throwing that for? I'm not sure.
I'm throwing that for nobody.
You're throwing that for somebody.
Not yet.
You see what I tell you all about him?
He's well trained. You know.
But you know, listen, Wendell, you add so much life and zest. I love hearing you and listening to you.
Don't say it so loud, Martin.
Well, he has to have an outlet somewhere, you know. His outlets are dwindling. Martin, just thank you for being with us this morning.
Yes, it's a pleasure as always. Have a great morning, everyone. All right. Thank you.
Right, Martin.
Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your carnival.
Yes, thanks.
Of course he will. Because that was an attorney Martin George weighing in on the Power Breakfast Show in the news now. Oh, Paul, I'm busy. I'm looking all over the place. So people know. Hey, look at
Isn't that normal for you looking all over the place?
Well, true. Lately,
it's never got you in trouble. Your eyes drifting right, left, and center.
Only with my eyes alone. Yeah.
We have time to sneak in some calls.
Yeah, man.
Steve, you know a power jam? I could play a power jam for you, you know.
You want to go to room?
I gotta wait for you again. All right.
I don't mind
the
seeing you in the room.
Baking Company Limited.
Best late entry of the century. Braga. Yo. I'm not going no small fret. Let me extend my apologies on a big fret with big flag going overhead like canopy. Rag in my back pocket with a white vest, sneakers and wallabies. Knife tips and tight pants. I never really rate none of these. I come from brass festival and from customs and from flour mills. Was a fed fire fet and licensing fet and them had a power pill. Everybody gunners and groovy bunchy, all you pushing power still. If it's me, you'll only be with power on a hill. I ain't come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. So all soca people, put your 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. I never come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. All soca people, put your 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. All soca lovers do this. Show me your hand. 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 All I know is pace. Feathers rough like sea. Going out all night. No go home before 3. When one fed done, we start a soca spray. So we go with way. You know, ask why we no question mark. We take why with apostrophes. Get gal with more lyrical content than Socrates. She could have shaped like a triangle with a cosine of isosceles. Any other thing different, red, that is blasphemy. I come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. So all soca people, put your 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. All soca lovers do this. Show me your hand. 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 Show me your Santa Maria place. Diorino, girl rolling and pelting waist. Diorino, rags up in your face. Diorino, don't matter who mash your lace. Diorino, I know about mash your place. Diorino, girl rolling and pelting waist. Diorino, rags up in your face. Diorino, don't matter who mash your lace. Diorino, yo, one way or the next I day, whether pay or free. If they don't let we nobody can say. So it roll with way, with way. It's Maxis and Van Lows and my friend them start to gather up. Look, we bathe in the rainwater, all this so begging to ladder up. Who coming from down the river on small rafts at the paddle up? When you see me friend and them link up and we saddle up. I ain't come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. So all soca people, put your 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. I never come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. All soca people, put your 2 1 in the air. You 2 1 in the air. All soca lovers do this. Show me your hand. 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 I not going to.
I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And that was our Kiss Power Choice.
Come on, let's go. Goodie for you and a goodie for me. There's a Kiss goodie for everybody.
Introducing Kiss Strawberry Goodies. TNT's favorite snack cake is now available in strawberry. Made with our signature Kiss cream and bursting with sweet strawberry flavor.
Goodie. Oh, goodie. It's Kiss goodie. Oh, goodie. It's Kiss goodie.
Alrighty, so we're back. We're just about to get into our 8 o'clock news headlines on this, the 10th day of February. Sir Charles is in the building. Can I get a woi? All right, thank you there, evil twin. And of course, he'll be in at 9 o'clock for your mid-morning, taking your calls and reading your messages. Talking about Soca Monarch, I'm sure. Of course, just a reminder what our question is, which you can vote on our website and our app. Do you agree with Marshall Montano? No, I didn't know justice. That the Soca Monarch competition was wasting taxpayers' money. Charlo says no. All right, so let's get into our 8 o'clock news. All right, AV is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Former PSC member Martin George is questioning if Police Commissioner designate Earl Christopher can make the necessary changes in the police service, given her limited time that she may spend in the post. Mrs. Christopher is set to retire officially in May of this year, but will be brought back on a one-year contract, which may be extended by 1 year initially in the first instance. Mr. George also commented on the case of the missing file in the malicious prosecution case of the men freed of the Vindra Naipaul Coolman murder. He told Power 102 Digital's Power Breakfast show this morning that he is concerned that the independence of the investigation into the missing file may be challenged. Retired Justices Stanley John and Ralston Nelson were hired to investigate the file's disappearance. Mr. George said little things such as press releases from the justices being sent on the Attorney General's letterhead could lead the public to question if the investigation is really unbiased. Meanwhile, opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Basasa has called on Chief Justice Ivor Archie to say whether Justice Karen Reed Ballantyne is the judicial officer who returned the file that was missing from the Attorney General's ministry. Prasad-Basasa did so in a statement yesterday in the UNC's latest effort to get answers on the Vindra Naipaul Coolman case file imbroglio. The disappearance of the file soon after it was delivered to the Solicitor General's office has been cited as the reason the state failed to mount a defense in a malicious prosecution claim by 9 former accused in the Naipaul Coolman kidnapping murder case. The men were recently awarded $20 million in judgment. A 10-year-old boy remains warded in critical condition after gunmen shot him and his father in St. James. Tariq Patterson and his father were taken to the hospital after gunmen attacked them early on Wednesday morning at their apartment at Lutchman Drive, Daybay Road, Long Circular, St. James. Tariq was shot in the head, chest, and abdomen. A bullet shattered the bone around his navel cavity, while another bullet broke 3 of his ribs and shattered 1 of his shoulder blades. Police are still searching for the suspects. Schools in Haiti, previously considered safe havens from the Caribbean nation's turmoil, have become increasingly targeted by violent groups, according to UNICEF. The UN agency reported that since the beginning of the school year last October, 72 schools had seen acts of violence, including kidnappings, ransackings, and looting, a 9-fold increase over a year ago. This includes at least 13 schools targeted by armed groups, 1 school set on fire, 1 student killed, and at least 2 staff members kidnapped, UNICEF said, citing reports from partner groups. More than 21,000 people are now known to have died after Monday's earthquakes in southern Turkey and northern Syria. 6 UN lorries carrying aid have now crossed the border from Turkey into Syria, the first international help people have had. But aid workers in northern Syria are desperate for more aid. One doctor told the BBC there's not enough medical supplies for even 20% of those who need it. Meanwhile, rescuers in Turkey and Syria are continuing their painstaking work, but hopes are fading for the many still trapped under the rubble. Well, that was your news update at 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full coming up at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Feel it in the air from the time I wake. Spirits come alive when we celebrate. What we bring to life to happen every day. Is a kind of high that they can replicate. This stage is real. This place is real. Look at the ground, shake it. All over town, shake it. We are the ground, shake it. Tell them it's by the ground.
I tell you, it's pace and more pace from now on. 5 minutes after the hour, 8 o'clock. Thank you so much, Avi, for our news brief. Thank you so much. Of course, take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Let me see what's going on traffic-wise. It's still a bit busy. East-west corridor, highway, the byways, side streets. Heading from the south, you'll get traffic after Sugar Corners. Usual streets in the south, pretty heavy, all right? Out of the west, out of Maraval, just after Mocha coming down. Out of Dago is not too bad. Pretty much by 4 roads, you're going to get traffic heading out of Dago Mart. 23 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 24 at Crown Point in Tobago. What's the weather going to be like for today? They're saying partly cloudy and breezy, windy conditions accompanied by occasional brisk showers. Our low last night at Piarco was 22.7. Wow, that was low. All right, of course, there's some Sahara dust in the air as well. My car looks like a Dalmatian. Let me get into a track here now before we get into other guests and bring the guys in. Of course, in the background, if you don't know, it's Shake the Place, Marshall Montano and Destra Garcia. Let's get into our Kiss Power Choice. Here is a track called Mass. Thank you, Kiss Baking Company. One of my favorites for Carnival 2023.
Mass, come again. Well, look how the place on fire now. Mass, come again. A spirit to bring the power down. Mass, come again. Give them the drum is done now. Mass, come again. And everybody chanting now. Look at the people coming down. Together, now we strong. Look at the people coming down. Together, now we strong. I hear a distant melody blow through the hills of Lavantie. Music powerful and sweet. And when the rhythm start to beat, look how it take away the pain. I can't explain it in my veins. Find myself myself down in Port of Spain. I'm not the same, so can't blame every creed and race. Everybody down in the heart of Port of Spain. Mars, come again. Well, look how the place on fire now. Mars, come again. A spirit to bring the power down. Mars, come again. Give them the troubles thunder down. Mars, come again. And everybody chanting now. Look at the people coming down. Together, now we strong. Look at the people coming down. Together, now we strong. Heart of the sweetest melody. Music, mass, and love, my trinity. In a world so cold, how we so free. Welcome, let me tell you honestly. Look how we take away the pain. I can't explain it in my veins. Find myself down in Port of Spain. I'm not the same, so can't blame every creed and race. Everybody down in the heart of Port of Spain. Mars, come again. Well, look how the place on fire now. Mars, come again. A spirit to bring the power down. Mars, come again. Give them the troubles thunder now. Mars, come again. And everybody chanting now. Look at the people coming down. Together, now we strong.
And that's your Kiss Power Choice. Thank you so much to the Kiss Making Company, Micaltasia, and a track called Mass. Here's a nice one. It's a bad one. All right.